Welcome back to Disco Elysium. Last time we played this game, we woke up in a hotel room or a motel room, not remembering who we are. We still don't know who we are, but we do know we are a police officer and that there was a body murdered. The body is lying down here. We shut it down with our incredible marksmanship. We also did some other stuff, but the body kind of takes precedence. It's kind of our thing right now. If you look at our task, we already have a lot of tasks. Interviewing the Wild Pines rep. Those would be the logistics company who own the harbor. We need to interview the union boss of the Bardiers Union. The perform field autopsy seems like the most important thing on our list at the moment, in all honesty. That's what we're here to solve, after all, even though we don't remember it. We maybe should ask about people around about the tattoos. We took a picture of the tattoos of the victim last time. We could ask him to tell us about the case. The hanged man's boots. Well, the chat thought that it would be appropriate to actually get those boots later on, so maybe we'll do that. We also have a lot of stuff. We can run the number on the victim's armor. Where's the rest of the armor? Read your ledger. And who put the clothes in the trash? We could ask Kuno, the little kid over here, or we could ask Gart, whom, we already established a very good relationship with by trashing the hotel room and then consequently making him reduce our bill of that. But I think for right now, what we should do is actually examine the body, shouldn't we?
The rotting man lies on his side with his eyes looking straight through you. The belt is still around his neck. His body is supine and open to intrusion by autopsy. The lieutenant adjusts his glasses and takes a deep breath.
Okay, look, Kim. First, what exactly is a field autopsy?
Come on, officer. You know what a field autopsy is. You've done 100 of them.
He pulls on a pair of latex gloves.
What you do know is, at 18.9 kilometers, the dormant shield volcano, Corpus Mundi, is the world's highest summit, and the failure of the 38 single, Epui Descent, to crack the top 20 was the death knell of disco. But what a field autopsy is, you have no idea.
Encyclopedia is reminding us of the little tidbits of information that our brain can produce, but nothing of a field autopsy. I don't like the first option. I don't want to be mean to Kim. We could just go in there, but how about we're just straight up with Kim? Actually, it appears I have forgotten what a field autopsy is.
Fine. It's a 3-part form to be filled out on the scene by the detectives responsible. One takes notes, the other dictates. The goal is to establish cause of death.
Do we need a scalpel for it?
A scalpel is not always required. I hope this is one of those cases. Latex gloves are, however.
Well, let's get in there as we clap our gloved hands.
There truly is a time for everything, even for yellow gardening gloves. However, they are lacking hygienically. I suggest you get in there in limited capacity.
Alright, sounds reasonable to me.
I'll ask you when I need you to. For the most part, maybe I should handle the contact and you take notes?
Where should I take these notes? In my paperwork?
Yes, you see, the field autopsy form is the one on red copier paper.
He points to the bright red pages at the end. Well, let's open our... we could still try to removing the dead man's boots. I guess we're just gonna open our ledger at the field autopsy form then.
The dead man stares in silence as you crack open the ledger. The bright red paper is covered in boxes and lists. describing the condition of his skin and organs in 3 parts. Above those, an 11-field info form needs filling out first. It begins with...
Begin with number 1, assistant.
That's you.
Well, that our name clearly is Raphael Ambrosius Cousteau.
The corpse is indifferent to your scribblings, just lies there. The next box says...
Number 2, coroner's case number...
KK57-0803.0815.
Write it down.
Next,
3, name.
NA. Next,
Date of birth.
NA.
Age.
Roughly 50.
Try 40. The damage is so extensive, it's better to err on the young side.
Visual calculus is disagreeing with Kim. I'm gonna write around 42.
He nods.
Race.
Mondial.
Fair to olive-skinned, from the Isola of Mwindi. This is as vague as it gets. You might as well say whitish.
So it doesn't help us at all. Let's write it down.
The pudgy mess of curdled meat looks neither mondial nor anything other.
Sex?
Fucky, fucky!
The little monster exclaims energetically.
Male.
Pigs can have sex!
We can write all of these down. We can write all of these down. You know, how about we ask chat what they think? What does the chat think we should write down on our form here? The chat is as undecided as I am, so I guess we're just gonna be boring and write male.
Nor does he look male, with his pregnant belly and indistinguishable face.
The date of death?
We're still going with March 4th, 51.
Write it down.
What else? 9. Body identified by is non-applicable. 10. Case number is the same as the coroner's case.
KK 57 0503 0815 listens motionless, with the cargo belt still around his neck. Only 1 box remains.
Is there any evidence of treatment?
None. At least not after the initial examination.
What exactly is treatment anyway?
Interfering with the body's position or wounds post-mortem.
Well, I'm not so sure yet if that's actually the case. We really don't have any proof to say that there's no tampering. I'm not so sure.
A silent nod. The lieutenant places his gloved hand on the corpse's chest, as if in preparation. Your central nervous system recognizes this gesture. It's the stations of the breath. Ecclesiastic, religious in nature, a holdout from pre-DeLorean burial rites. It takes him 2 seconds to perform. Then, somewhere in Jamrock North, a small wood shed behind Rosenkrantz Row, Lieutenant Nick Feuerbach puts his hand to the chest of a small corpse, no larger than a monkey. It's raining outside, light drizzle. There is darkness in the shed. Elsewhere yet, an obese female sits in a wicker chair, her silhouette bull-like against the window. Outside, Grand Coudon. The day is turning dim for Sergeant Mac Dawson. Hand extended, he approaches, to make sure she is dead more than anything else. And so, all across Jamrock, Coal City, GRIH, 42 deceased persons found today, 42 stations of breath.
We should start the post-mortem.
We probably should. Esprit de Corps just telling us about the stations of breath, and individual cases in which officers actually apply that. We should turn the page.
The corpse cannot feel Kim's hand on his chest. It no longer meaningfully interacts with its surroundings. A thicket of boxes and lists on red copier paper tries to answer why.
We'll just go through them one by one, I suppose. External examination. Summary.
Clothes. The deceased wears armored boots and white briefs. The make of the briefs is Babrodine, I think. Let's see.
He turns the body onto its side to check the underwear label.
See, it's happening.
Babrodine, yes. Inexpensive. Size M. Color white.
The disappointment is palpable. The red-haired thing was expecting something more lurid.
Write it down.
The boots are ceramic, vitreous enamel. They are fused to his skin from blood flowing downward post-mortem. Removal of the boots is left for processing.
Is it, though?
It would be clever of you to omit the boots altogether, sire. If you are to keep them for yourself, as you ought to, you have deserved them more than anyone else.
I think we already established before that we are gonna get those boots. Drama. When am I gonna get those boots?
Patience. After the autopsy, before the body is taken away, there will be a window of opportunity. After the lieutenant has gone to sleep. I hope this has helped you, my liege.
It certainly has, Drama. What do you think, chat? Should we omit the boots from the report, or should we write it down? We can still steal them afterwards. But if we were to omit them from the report, then no one would be any wiser. Which shall we choose? Yes, as I suspected, the chat is really willing to omit the boots from the report, so that's what we're doing. Let's not write it down. Kim's none the wiser, right?
The boot has a serial number. It's E50.100.100. The lines between the plates are in the shape of the alphanumerical. The number is purposefully concealed by the design.
Let's write it down. Even though we, omitted the boots, we can still write down the make of the boots. Like, it's not like anyone's gonna suspect anything, right?
Tattoos.
He stands up, feet planted on either side of the body.
The upper torso is covered in a single, continuous tattoo, resembling a national pattern. It reaches from the right shoulder to the heart. The ink is blue and white. The assistant has a color photograph of the markings, to be added to the case files as document A1. The photo is taken on the scene, using a Trigat Mini.
That's the photo we took last time. Let's write it down.
The deceased has a belt for airlifting cargo around his neck, tied with a hangman's knot. Color yellow. Length 3 meters. There is a buckle on the other end.
Write it down.
Well nourished, athletically built, measuring 1.8 meters. Generally consistent with age 42. Preservation is good. Ambient temperature below freezing.
Kim actually adjusted his dialogue because we already told that he's maybe 42. That's a nice little touch. Write it down.
Body hair is light brown. Distribution is consistent with age. The deceased had male pattern baldness. Hair is combed back, short.
We should definitely touch the corpse's hair before moving on.
The hair under your latex fingers feels cold to touch, wet.
Stroke his hair very, very gently.
The stench is suffocating. Strands of dark brown hair start sticking to the latex of the glove, like thread off a rag doll's head.
That's what I wanted to hear.
There must be brilliantine in there. He's combed his hair back with oil.
Interfacing actually chiming in with this. Let's keep petting him. Maybe we'll find out something more.
More hair sticks to the glove. Hair off the rain-soaked head of a dead man. There are bumps and dips on the skull below. An alien landscape.
Well, maybe not so much, but we can write it down and we can add the brilliantine.
Lividity is consistent with hanging. The head is congested. Contusions are present on the head, chest, and thighs. Consistent with stones thrown post-mortem. Low velocity.
Fucking low velocity? You think Kuno doesn't know what you're talking about? Velocity was fucking max. Talking shit about Kuno's velocity.
In addition, there are bite marks on the face, scalp, and chest. Consistent with predation.
The lieutenant pays no heed to the child. Well, we could amend for high velocity. I'm not sure that's us. We'll just write it down for now.
Ligature mark.
The lieutenant produces a small folding knife. With the other hand pulling on the belt, he starts cutting into the polyester. The stench is horrid. After a while, it's obvious the material cannot be cut.
The steel wiring. There's too much of it. We need to remove the belt so we can get to the ligature mark.
You got just the right tool for that. The chain cutters.
How could we not pet the chain cutters? Oh yeah, I'm prepared.
The hanged man lets out a joyous little bubble of rot from his nose.
Oh, it didn't actually react to it at all, but good thing we got these chain cutters.
Always good to think ahead. Now,
He points to the rope squeezing the dead man's neck.
we need to cut the belt to see the ligature mark below. Carefully, with as much precision as you can.
See, my pig is gonna fuck his head off.
No, he ain't. Your pig's a boring fuck.
We could agree to be Kuno's pig if we wanted to. We could confront him on it, which I don't think I would do if I were an adult man. We could look for a good place to cut, and we could just cut the belt off. Maybe we should just first look for a good spot before we indulge these teenagers with their shenanigans.
The belt is equally tight around the whole circumference of his neck, swelling over the edges like white bread rising from the east. The knot is the weak spot. The chain cutters fit in there, steady now, like a flower arranger. 2 cuts and it should come loose.
Well, interfacing gave us instructions, which means it's now at 83%, but perhaps the chat can actually help us out here if we press this button. If you were to increase my physical trait, it would maybe give this an extension. Or you could just vote it down, and it doesn't work. How about we try it out? That's already pretty high, but maybe we can get it to go up a little bit. Or down. Didn't seem to do a whole lot. There's supposed to be like a pop-up here for voting, but I suppose it didn't work that great. But regardless, I think with 83%, maybe we should just go for it.
After some deliberation, you sink the cutters into the knot tying the belt together. You squeeze the rubber handles together, sweat forming on your brow.
Press down on it.
Snap. The knot is slashed. Another cut and the belt falls apart like a flower bouquet, revealing the dead man's neck and the dark red ligature mark around it.
The rope rises to a point, leaving a gap in the ligature mark. The suspension point is in the back of the neck.
The lieutenant has kneeled closer, running his finger along the dark red groove until there's a gap.
Hemorrhaging is observed on the skin, above and below the ligature mark. The mark is well pronounced, consistent with a drop from 1 or 1.5 meters.
But let us write it down.
Chest is intact. Normal contour. Abdomen is protuberant. Pelvis intact. Genitalia...
He pulls down the man's underpants.
No! Let's get out and see!
Somehow I figured that the kids were gonna get excited about this.
I fucking knew it!
Genitalia is male and unremarkable. No evidence of injury.
Well, we should probably inspect them ourselves. We're a police officer.
The dead man's penis is average sized, congested from the downward collection of blood. The testicles are uneven in length, hanging underneath. The genitalia is greenish. Marbling is present around the crotch.
That's probably gonna be important later on. Let's write it down and move on.
Back is symmetrical and intact. Upper and lower extremities are intact, but asymmetrical. There are combat injuries on the right hand, thigh, and hip. In addition, I see smaller, residual scars, too numerous to count, covering about 30% of his skin.
From wounds sustained over 2, maybe more decades, dispersal and accumulation indicates long and active combat duty.
So because visual calculus chimed in, we now have this top option. Otherwise it would be just write it down. We've had a couple of write it downs. If we have different skill sets, they may have chimed in to make this autopsy a little more reliable. But for right now, visual calculus is telling us this. So obviously we're gonna say the scarring is extensive, way more than a law official's.
We have a real museum here. Of battles, wars.
Write it down.
Last item. Hands.
He takes the man's right hand in his, inspects it, then moves on to the other hand. Pick up the hand.
The hand feels heavy, filled with decay liquids, like it's ready to explode if squeezed hard enough. You're suddenly repulsed, so much so you feel compelled to drop it.
Hands are clean. No sign of injury from struggling.
The lieutenant says as 5 cold sausage-like fingers slip from our hand. Were we expecting any sign of struggling?
I was. Maybe I'm just not seeing them. Honestly, this stench is making it hard for me to think at the moment.
Well, we just threw up at the stench, so we can probably relate. Let's write it down.
Ooh. That's all for the external. Well done. What next?
He turns to the side to breathe. It's not enough. He buries his face in the sleeve of his jacket. Internal examination. Summary.
Central nervous system. I have nothing. Do you have anything on this man's central nervous system?
Well, do we? It looks as if one of our intelligence skills is gonna chime in here.
Of course, there is a moral to be drawn from it. A moral to this story.
Oh god, it's conceptualization. It's the art cop in us that wants us to add a moral to the story. Yeah, let's pursue that. If I may add the moral of the story.
What would that be?
He looks at you inquisitively.
The dead man looks, too, with barely contained excitement to hear the moral of his story.
I'm not sure this is a very artsy thing to say, but I guess we're just gonna follow it up. The brain is very vulnerable to compromises in its blood supply.
I think that may well be the moral of every story, officer.
The lieutenant grins. I'll just write non-applicable.
Good. Musculoskeletal. Purge fluid is coming from the mouth. Not injury related. Eyes and tongue protuberant. Hyoid bone. Let's see.
With his eyes almost closed, the lieutenant puts his hand on the dead man's throat and begins to massage it, gently. A rotting smell erupts from the mouth. Purge fluid runs down his lips, black and viscous.
Yeah, jack that fucker off!
The hyoid bone is fractured. The rest of the musculoskeletal system is intact. Unremarkable.
Write it down.
Respiratory system.
Back hunched, as if in prayer, he begins to pry open the dead man's jaws. He stops to exert more force. Both hands are used.
Oral cavity shows no lesions. The victim has received dental implants, possibly after a combat wound. Mouth swollen, hemorrhaging present in mucosa of the lips and mouth.
Let's have a look inside the dead man's mouth.
No scream, no sigh of relief rises from the darkness inside. It's humid there. Sickly sweet air, unlike anything living. You feel like you're about to throw up again, straight in that mouth of his.
That's a nice depiction. Let's have a deeper look.
It's hard. Once more, you taste stomach acid in the back of your throat. A contraction. Your throat pumps a little something from your stomach and into your mouth. You're forced to swallow, just to keep looking.
Oh hey, we took damage. We actually took damage to our endurance, which is max 2. We have 1 health left. The next one is gonna kill us. So, just something to keep in mind.
Inside, you see darkness. Just a mess of meat and darkness. Mute silence as always.
Hemorrhaging present in mucus.
The lieutenant repeats impatiently. He lets go of the jaws. The mouth snaps shut before you. Let's write it down.
Hepatobiliary, Na.
Why? Don't we have anything?
Are you a hepatobiliary expert?
He looks at the corpse's stomach with a mixture of tiredness and disgust. I don't think so.
Neither am I.
And that's it?
That's it.
Right, NA?
Same for toxicology and serology, Na.
Both?
Unless you have untapped reservoirs of knowledge there?
Reservoirs? No, but do they take obscure trivia and odd tidbits?
Yes. Kim, would obscure tidbits and odd trivia fit the fields?
No.
Thank you, Encyclopedia. You are so helpful. The completionist in me wonders if there's still something we could do.
Like a toxicology screening? At this stage, I doubt processing will find anything, even if he was brimming with cocaine. But still, you should add a request.
Well, let's write an A and ask for a toxicology request.
Cardiovascular. The body exhibits heavy lividity. Blood has gathered in the hands, feet, and neck. Hypostasis is visually consistent with the hanging.
Okay, let's write it down.
Gastrointestinal.
He breathes a sigh of approaching relief. This is the last field on the list. He looks around, to the ground, to the pool of feces there.
Digested semi-solid food in stomach. Voila.
Alright, chat, what do you think? Should we keep the voila? Or should we omit the voila? What do you think? This is super important. Yes, that's what I want to see. We definitely want to keep the voila.
What's next on the list?
We don't even boast about it, we just write it in there. Well, there's still description of injuries, summary.
Let's see. We have bite marks, contusions on the head and chest, and a ligature mark encircling the neck. You'll need 3 fields. Leave a 4th one too.
What's the 4th injury field for?
Nothing. Just in case.
Alright, sure, makes sense. Let's start with the bite marks.
Head, chest, and scalp bite mark injuries. Predation by birds has caused damage to the body. Odontologist does not need to be consulted.
Write it down.
And your opinion, officer?
Beneath the description, there are 2 boxes waiting to be ticked. Well, everything's consistent with a hanging, so bite marks would be non-fatal. And Kim himself said that it's probably predation by birds.
Agreed. Next injury?
The contusions.
So, the scalp bleeds from a post-mortem head injury, a stone. The injury does not have the rim of an early inflammatory response. The perpetrator on the scene has confessed to causing it post-mortem.
velocity, fucko!
Has confessed to causing it at maximum velocity.
So let's write it down. Probably keeping the maximum velocity in there.
Coagulated blood sticks to his scalp and chest, where the countless stones have hit the dead man. Beneath, the description of injury. 2 boxes.
Well, it still seems like that's just post-mortem.
Right. Next,
The ligature mark.
a dark red abraded ligature mark encircling the neck, with a gap on the nape measuring, let's say, 7 centimeters. The hyoid bone is fractured, the cervical column intact. I see hemorrhaging on the skin, above and below the ligature mark. Depth of the mark, 1 centimeter. No signs of clawing on the neck.
Right in town.
Below the note, 2 customary boxes wait to be ticked. The man's head jerks to the side. The ring around his neck is visible.
Well, it appears as if this is what caused his death. Was the hanging. So that's the logical assumption to do.
That's it. We have established cause of death. It's not much, and it leaves much to be questioned. But it's a start. Let's wrap this up. I pronounce this field autopsy over.
He produces a small black plastic roll from his jacket, a body bag. Well, how did it go?
Well, we established probable cause of death. Some would say that's the goal of an autopsy. We also requested a toxicological screening. That was thorough. The results should arrive in a couple of weeks, if we are lucky. I will not hold my breath.
What else?
We were thorough with the list of injuries, too. We described them all in detail. What is there to say? Given the circumstances, it was a professional field autopsy.
So what's next?
I need a copy of that autopsy form. Then I will drive him to Faubourg
Let's do that.
for processing.
He looks at the dead man one more time, then at the slip of the red paper in his hand, then at the corpse again.
You tilt your head, also looking at the corpse. I'm sure we didn't get everything. There's always something.
There usually is, isn't there? We could still try to removing his boots, but we already established that's not gonna happen. We could just bag him and let him take away without further examining him. Perception? Oh boy, we already established probable cause, which was hanging, so now that's very low. We're probably not going to be able to do this. But on the other hand, since we've done an intimate autopsy, we could use Inland Empire to ask the dead man, who is he? Maybe we'll go with that.
The fish lips stay silent in response. You must be losing your mind, asking him that over and over.
I told you, he is male, 40 to 50, with an athletic build.
I'm not too convinced about that. I'm not too convinced about our chances at perception either. Maybe we shouldn't bag him just yet. Because it's clear that we have some things that we should probably look further into when it comes to this. We failed our Inland Empire check. We're definitely gonna fail this one. But for right now, I think we should leave. Maybe check out the crime scene. I think what Kim alluded to last time was that there are foot marks. And they're right here. So maybe we should, before we commit to sending the body away, perhaps we should examine the crime scene at a little bit more depth. And starting from the footprints seems to be a good start to me.
There are several footprints in the mud, left by work boots. Anywhere from 6 to 12 pairs have walked here.
What kind of boots?
Heavy workers' boots with reinforced toes and hobnails, all over the yard. Isn't this something an industrial worker would wear?
Lieutenant, There are some workers' boot tracks here.
Noted.
The lieutenant takes out his little notebook. Well, visual calculus is at 58%. We might be able to get an exact count of the boots. How about we still try... This hasn't worked lately. But how about we try to get the chat to boost our stats for this? For this, we would need an increase in intelligence, in int. So as I press this, there should be some sort of option popping on the screen that you should be able to click, hopefully. And maybe give me a boost to int so we can actually get an exact count. Or maybe you want to deboost it and we'll do worse. How about we take a look? Either it still doesn't work or everybody just counteracted each other. Regardless, I think we should give it a go, right? It's at 58%. It seems pretty good. Let's give it a go. Let's get an exact count.
Maybe more than 12. No. 8 pairs of boots have shuffled back and forth in the mud.
We actually succeeded in it. Let's go over them one by one.
1. Standard work boot, steel reinforced toes, number 46. 2. Standard work boot, steel reinforced toes, number 44. 3. Hobnailed work boot, steel reinforced toes, number 43. 4. Standard work boot, number 45 or 46.
Which is it?
You don't know. It's a miracle you can tell the prints apart as it is. The cold must have preserved them.
Let's count more of them.
5. Another standard work boot, steel reinforced toes, number 44. 6. An aberration, light as air, even pace, same make of boot, but number 41.
Is it male or female?
Impossible to tell. Could also have been an adolescent. The gait is undeveloped.
I'm pretty good at this, ain't I?
You're not bad. It's as if the whole world darkens. Everything else has a thin film of unimportance on it, and the tracks burn in the middle of it, in a strange, beautiful way.
Let's count the rest of them.
7. The glowing outline of a standard work boot, number 46. But the imprints are twice as deep as the others. The weight exceeds 200 kilograms. 8. And yet another standard work boot, number 44. There's an aberration in the pattern of the sole, however. The right sole is smoother, more worn.
That might be important later on.
How many?
The lieutenant has been tracking your ice movements. Okay, how about chat? Should we say, okay, there's literally 2 options here. Either we're serious or we're not serious at all, or we say nothing. How about we try this out? It should pop up on the stream, so you should be able to vote on this. Shall we say 8 or 400 million, or shall we say nothing? Which will it be? Oh, I do appreciate when chat actually agrees with me. I was not going to say 400 million, but I wanted to see if some of you did. But we're a logical cop. We're working on our visual calculus details here. We need to say 8.
I was pretty off then. I counted 20.
That's quite a bit off. Oh, we could say way off, way off. We actually have that opinion. We can actually say that. Let's not gloat. The same guys are going back and forth.
I never got the hang of it. Hyperopia. Do you see anything out of the ordinary?
There's a light step. Number 41 shoe.
A woman? Or a kid?
Could be either one. I don't think there's any way to be sure.
Understood. Anything else?
A heavy one, 200 kilogram imprint.
200? Could it be the combined weight of two people, one carrying the other who's tied up? Let's say a heavily built worker carrying a similarly built, soon-to-be-dead man.
That's not a bad theory, Kim.
He might be right. 200 kilograms of living weight is unlikely.
I guess this is why it doesn't take place in our universe, is that 200 kilograms is unlikely. It could have been an extremely obese person, but I think one of them was carrying him over. Pretty much what Kim just said. I think I agree with that.
Possibly, yes.
The lieutenant marks something down in his notebook. There's an aberration. One soul is smoother than the other.
Interesting. Let's name it the odd soul.
That's a good way of actually categorizing things. Do you have any ideas, Lieutenant?
Someone operating a workbench with a pedal? Like a joiner at the harbor. Or maybe a drummer?
A drummer? Okay, that's stupid.
A drummer only uses the right foot for the kick drum. You're right, it's stupid. Perhaps it could be a driver. A driver would wear the right shoe before the left. The accelerator is on the right.
That's actually not a bad idea. Let's not thoughtfully at that.
We should keep our eyes open around the traffic jam. See whether anyone strikes out as a potential suspect. Seems prudent, no?
Yes. Prudent. The lieutenant writes the information down in his notebook that reverts to the tracks in the mud. How old do you think these tracks are? Oh, hold up.
A week, maybe? 7 days would fit the time frame provided to us by the caller, who reported the hanging.
Yes, it's been 7 days since the hanging occurred. We've been here getting drunk for a while now, and we don't remember any of it.
It is not impossible.
How do you know?
I pulled last week's forecast for coastal Havashon. 7 days below freezing. The day before, the day of his hanging, was the last warm day.
Correct again. Sub-zero temperatures would preserve the tracks in a good state. The commotion here could have taken place a week ago.
What do you think happened here, Kim?
What do I think? A mob of people brought something heavy to the tree. One of them was carrying the victim. They shuffled around, especially under the tree. Then, after hoisting him up, they stood in a semicircle facing his direction. At first glance, this appears to be a lynching.
Indeed, they all stood in a row here and looked at the tree.
Well, yeah, sure, but we also missed that perception check. But for right now, we've been through all of these footprints at the very least. Having gone through them, would we have anything else to do with the body?
The man is decomposing visibly now. Every hour, he looks less like a creature and more like a pile of intestines.
That sounds
The
tasteful.
lieutenant adjusts his glasses and takes a deep breath.
Yeah, we still have this, but we're still at 3%. It's not looking like very... I don't think I want to do it just yet. It is interesting to me that because we already established that he was hanged, that this would be more difficult. Which makes sense, because, you know, we already have that in our head, in our brain, that he was hanged. So why would we look for any further evidence of it? Well, we do have these kids to speak to. We've examined the body. But, you know what? We haven't spoken to Kim. Not really. and he actually prompted us to speak to him about the case because we don't remember a thing. So maybe let's have a chat with our buddy Kim.
Yes?
This is what he prompted us about. How about you tell us about the case?
What do you want to know?
Well, literally anything about it. I can't remember a single thing.
Ah, yes. The case brief you missed. Now I remember.
He opens his notes. Yeah, he remembers. We spoke about that earlier. Brief. Yes, that sounds good.
3 days ago, the RCM Emergencies Desk received a report about a security guard who was found hanged in Martinez. An anonymous caller said there was a dead body behind the Whirling in Rags hostel cafeteria. The cadaver had been there for 4 days. No one had come to investigate. During that time, the victim had been stripped of his belongings. The caller did not identify him, but used the word lynching. There is an ongoing labor dispute between the local dock workers and the logistics company Wild Pines. I was told we should approach the death as part of this dispute.
So, okay, maybe we should have spoken about Kim about this before we actually examined the body, but we did it in the reverse order. But does the briefing say who the victim was?
A security guard or worker of some sort, hired by Wild Pines. This was just hearsay from Martinez, of course. We need to find out the truth.
Why didn't we know anything about the caller then?
They didn't identify themselves in any way. The tone was muffled using a device of some sort. The desk could identify neither the caller's age nor sex.
Why hide themselves then?
There's a strong prejudice against involving the RCM in what's seen as union matters. The dock workers' union is the de facto police in Martinez. Now it appears they've started executing too. We cannot allow that.
Hold on, and the RCM? What's that?
That's us, the Revachol Citizens Militia. We're the police in this city.
The RCM, or the Revachol Citizen Militia, is the police force you and him are part of. A self-organized peace corps of the occupied city of Revachol. The RCM operates within a legal twilight, yet its authority is rarely questioned. It's super useful to know this.
Oh, we can use that for authority. Okay, let me make this perfectly clear, Kim. Our job here is to find the killer, right?
That's right.
We got some experience out of that. Can we go over to preliminary?
You mean like a brief?
No.
Want me to brief you again?
Oh, that's just the same option. If I say I'll wing it, he'll just scold me.
There's no reason to wing anything. If you didn't get the brief, that's okay. I did. 3 days ago...
Yes, and we're gonna get the same thing.
Okay, then. Was there anything else you wanted to know?
Would you say this is a mysterious case?
No, it's not a particularly mysterious case.
The lieutenant considers your question a moment before answering that. Why not? Why don't you think this is mysterious?
The deceased is a security guard for a corporation involved in a labor dispute. It doesn't take a DeLorean polymath to put the pieces together. I just don't see the case getting more mysterious than that.
Okay, I think this is one for the chat right here. Should we say, I was thinking something otherworldly might be involved, you know, something supernatural. Shall we be very straight about it and just, what, male in his 40s, what more do you need? Personally, I think labor disputes are very mysterious. Or, okay, so the case probably isn't mysterious, but could it be sexy? What shall we pick? What option of these should we go for? I do hope it works. It doesn't always work, unfortunately. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a white male in his 40s. What more would we possibly need?
I'm relieved that you agree.
he says, then pauses.
Anyhow, let's get back to the case. Was there anything else you wanted to know?
Well, actually, yeah, he did mention that we're from the 41st and he's from the 57th precinct. So, if we're from different precincts, why are we on the same case right now?
I'm afraid you and I are pawns in a pissing competition.
He considers his phrasing as he says that. What do you mean?
You don't know? I assumed you were in on it.
I'm not even gonna ask Chad. I'm just gonna say this. You know what I'm in on? Retrograde amnesia.
Better still than an imbecilic cop-off.
Tell me about it. Tell me about this cop-off.
What's there to say? It's just stupidity.
What kind of stupidity?
The cop kind. Our precincts can't decide if Martinez is part of Jamrock or the Industrial Harbor. Yours or mine, as if we somehow own parts of the city. Typical street gang mentality. So we've let the Union make a mockery of law enforcement here. And now it's come to its natural conclusion.
Ah, so this is a struggle over who runs Martinez.
Well, sort of. It's less a matter of who gets to police Martinez than who has to. It's an orphan district, in other words. I think the dispatch desk just told both our stations about the hanging. There was quite the brouhaha at the 57th, I can tell you that. Time to settle it, they said. Cop off. But I assure you, I am not their finest or toughest, with 102 cases solved. What I am is least interested in a pissing competition.
So he volunteered to represent the 57th, but not out of competitiveness. On the contrary.
Reaction speed. Actually, just giving us this top spot here. I don't think we should be amiss not to pick it. So you volunteered to spoil it.
Yes. I'm an unrepentant spoilsport.
The lieutenant appears pleased with this. What's so special about Martinez that we need this imbecilic cop-off here, Kim?
Martinez? Nothing. It's just a puddle at the end of some drain pipe. No one cares about this place. They care about sports. Most of our colleagues don't even know how to get here. North of the interchange doesn't exist.
I don't know what the north of the interchange is, Kim. I just woke up and I don't even remember who I am, but I wonder what this says about me, that I was sent by my station. He raises an eyebrow, thinking it's best to let you make the next move. I think this is one for the chat. Are we gonna say to Kim, I was sent to teach you a lesson in style? There can only be one conclusion. I'm the finest we have, a hero cop sent to outperform you in every way imaginable. I must be an augury, an apocalyptic omen sent by my people. Can you guess my message? I probably have an unbelievable kill count, or I'm gonna leave it unspecified. Which shall we go for, chat? What kind of a cop are we? Were we? Are we this cop that you're about to choose? Let's find out. Oh boy, that's a straight up 50-50. I'm gonna have to consult a coin toss from Google. Luckily, it just gives me that nowadays. So let's say that I'm the finest we have is heads, and I have an unbelievable kill count is tails. You won't be able to see this, but you're just going to have to count my word for it. So, first one heads, second one tails. And we have heads. So, there could only be one conclusion. I'm the finest we have. A hero cop sent to outperform you in every way imaginable. You know, this doesn't really go against the fact that we're already some kind of superstar. We're internalizing that thought. So maybe this is the kind of thing that a superstar would say. Yes, Kim's gonna love this.
A good joke.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Okay, the third one is clearly sarcastic. The first one is kind of rude. Okay, I'm gonna call this one here. I don't want to piss off Kim. A joke, of course. Rest assured, I have no intention to actually compete with you.
It's good we set this thing aside. Was there anything else you wanted to ask about the competition? If not, we should move.
I guess that's enough about the competition then.
Yes, it's a wholly pointless matter. Forget I ever mentioned it.
Well, we do have a logic check now, which is to figure out why did the 31st precinct send us here? That is a good question. We're at 17%, even though our logic is not that bad. It's at 3. Oh, bonus from thoughts -1. What am I internalizing? That's... Oh, yeah, because we're already some kind of superstar. We already have -1 to logic because it's the price of self-delusion. So, yeah, I guess we just can't, you know, help that unless we forget about that thought. I don't think we have anything to actually help us with logic at this point. So we're going to leave this hanging for now. We're going to figure it out later, maybe. You know, Kim, we haven't known each other for a long time, but I think you should know that I can't actually remember anything.
No response. He just arches his brow. He's having trouble processing it, believing it even.
I feel like I must repeat this. I don't remember anything. There was heavy drinking involved.
Have you tried concentrating on something other than your personal affairs?
There is a sudden, harsh edge to his voice, like he's tired of hearing about your personal affairs.
Well, what's wrong with personal affairs, Kim?
Not a fan. It's just the nature of lieutenancy.
The RCM deploys a self-styled structure called the Decomptage as its chain of command. Every lieutenant is responsible for 2 sergeants and 8 officers. That means the average lieutenant has to deal with quite a few personal affairs. Even you know this.
Do I really? Clearly I don't. I mean, okay, clearly I do because Encyclopedia chimed in, but it doesn't appear that we know a whole lot of anything. So what should I concentrate on then?
Try work. The case at hand. It can work miracles.
But I'm completely lacking in basic information about even this organization we're in. Can you help me? Please?
Fine. We should get through this day first. Off hours begin at 9 p.m. If you're still having trouble then, I can give you an orientation.
You know what, that doesn't sound like a bad idea, actually, with someone with acute encephalopathy. I'm afraid this is a medical situation, to some extent, I think.
Really? You look fine to me.
Like, okay, seriously, Kim, there's like unbelievable damage done to my brain. I was looking at myself in the mirror and until then I didn't know what I was supposed to look like. It's terrifying.
This psychodrama is unbecoming of an officer.
It's not psychological. Some sort of major brain damage has occurred on an unprecedented scale.
Then you should consider seeking medical attention. You can use the radio in my kinema to call your station's Lazareth. Was there anything else you wanted?
The Lazareth, as in the hospital. Well, I mean, you seem to be following me.
Excuse me?
Okay, I'm not saying the second one. I'm not even gonna leave this up to a vote because I'm not gonna be an asshole to Kim. What if I want to work this case alone? It's just asking.
Detective, if I may be frank, you seem to be in a deranged state. You have trouble remembering things. You've misplaced your badge. I cannot let you act in the name of the RCM without supervision until you've regained control of your faculties.
I know what the RCM is. You just told me.
That's good.
But what if I need some me time?
some you time? This is a police investigation, not a journey of self-discovery. You'll still have your evenings to yourself.
Oh, Kim, you are so wrong about this game. This game is all about self-discovery. I don't think you've played Disco Elysium before, Kim. Okay, I'll leave the self-care for non-work hours, then.
Please do. We wouldn't want your regiment to spill over into the investigation.
The lieutenant is pretty sure self-care is just a euphemism for nihilistic binge drinking.
He's probably not wrong about that either. Well, our logic check didn't increase whatsoever. Well, Kim, let's talk about you, shall we? What are you all about, Kim?
Me?
Yes, you.
I don't see how my life is pertinent to the investigation.
The third one is just offensive. Being Claude would be an offensive word, referring to the fact that he wears glasses. We're not going to say that. We'll work together if we have more rapport.
That's a fair point. All right, for the good of the investigation, what do you want to know?
Well, I'm not sure if, like, either of these two, both of these sound a little offensive, but at the same time, I think it's more like we're inquisitive about it. So maybe we're asking about his glasses, and we're not like referring to it as a bad thing, more so as, okay, you're wearing glasses, can you maybe shoot? Let's see what he has to say about that.
That's correct.
You feel a slight urge to put the lieutenant down for this, but you can't quite muster enough testosterone.
Oh, Physical Instrument really wants us to put the lieutenant down for this. But, I mean... What, no I don't? Neither of these are just bad. The first one is just... We're telling Physical Instrument, oh, we're not actually... We're not agreeing with you, Physical Instrument. That part in our brain that's very testosterone heavy. We're not with you. Or we could just be, logical about it. Just say we're observing. How about you say? What should we say? What should we say? Should we say glasses are cool, or are we just observing? What do you think? Yeah, again, we are... Okay, I could either just go with my own choice here, or I could roll the dice or toss the coin, whatever. Let's flip. Let's do the flip. Let's say heads is just observing, and tails is glasses are cool. Heads is the first, tails is the second. We have a heads. So we're just observing.
I guess you don't need glasses then.
Yeah, you're right about that. Well, I mean, we could just ask him this. It's probably going to lead to something terrible.
That's because I'm half Seolite, or quarter. My father's father was from Seoul. So was my grandmother, but from my mother's side. It's not an interesting topic.
What is Seoul?
It's a part of the world, officer. A geopolitical entity and a geographic division. I told you it wouldn't be interesting.
Seoul is a protectionist, isolationist, pan-Isolari state west of the Insulindian Isola. Actually, it's quite interesting. Some would even say mysterious.
Encyclopedia once more. You're only making it sound and interesting. I still want to know more about Seoul.
You're barking up the wrong tree. I don't speak a word of Seolite. I've never met either one of my grandparents, and I've never been to Seoul. I'm a regular Revacholière.
He seems always proud of these things. That's reasonable. Tell me a secret about yourself, Kim Kitsuragi.
No.
Ask again.
Your brain sends the signal to your lips. But they refuse the order. Something is paralyzing them. You're pretty sure it has something to do with the lieutenant's eyebrow. It's like you're locked down.
What's happening to me?
Something the matter, detective?
What's going on? It's like you're a puppet in his hands.
Our authority just absolutely failed this check. We have nothing to do. We can't counteract the lieutenant's eyebrows. So we have to give up. There's nothing we can do about it.
The lieutenant relaxes his eyebrow, and you seem to regain control of yourself.
The power of the eyebrow. I wish we could have that. Kim, since I woke up, I've been having these conversations with myself. You know, just little blips and beeps here and there, just giving me advice. Do you ever have that?
What do you mean?
You know, when you're thinking, do you ever have conversations with, like, your brain?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
The lieutenant's conceptualization skills must be rather rudimentary. The lieutenant is a police officer of the old school. His concerns are material and extrinsic.
So we're more high concept than he is that right?
But this isn't an old school case.
So you're saying your brain never just chimes in with advice or warnings or anything?
I can't say that it does, no. When I need to think, I just use my notebook.
The lieutenant produces his small blue notebook and idly thumbs through a few pages. We all have our different mediums. His is written.
Conceptualization just kind of spells it out for us. Yeah, he doesn't think like we do. He uses his notebook. He's very methodical about it. And that's fine. That's all for now.
Good. Let's change the subject.
We're still very low on the logic check. I don't think we should go for that. What shall we do? Oh, we've encountered an error. Oh, this is new. I haven't seen this before. Yes? I don't know what bug we encountered. I don't think we actually encountered a bug. Like, there's nothing that really resembled a bug to me. But it sent me to a website when I said confirm. You know what? We've been going at this for about an hour. I think it's time we took a break after that nice little information that we are, we've encountered a bug. Maybe we should, like, yeah, let's save our game right here to Twitch 3. This will be, just as a backup. And I think what we're gonna do is say, what did we do today? Actually, we examined the body. We didn't really come to any conclusions about it. We came to some conclusions, but there's still definitely something we need to examine about it. We spoke to Kim, and that's pretty much everything we did. That's what we did. We examined the footprints. That's something that's probably gonna come in handy somewhere along the road. But for right now, I think we're gonna take a little break from Disco Elysium, and next time maybe we'll try to speak with. Let's see, what do we have to do? Well, one thing we could do is just call the Lazareth and ask about our health. We have the end of the day debrief, but that's not gonna be until 22 p.m. 20. No. Wait. That's the military time, so 22. So 10 p.m. Send the victim's body to processing once we're done with it, but we probably still want to examine that further. There's the Wild Pines rep and the Everett Clare, the Union boss, and a whole bunch of things. We also have to pay for damages. I'm not sure how we're going to do that, but I think that all of that is going to have to wait until next time for Disco Elysium. As we're going for a little break here.